Hi, Rachel. Great to have you here with us today.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
So, for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about you and what you do and what you've made.
Great. So, my name is Rachael Belle Myers, and I'm a writer, director, and a producer in Western Sydney. I have made, I'm up to my fourth now, short film, currently working on a web series, and yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, today we'll be talking about pre production on a low budget. So, you are a writer and director and producer. You have your script, you're ready to go to production. What's the first thing you do?
I break down the script. That's probably the first thing that anyone can possibly do. And the reason for that is because you need to figure out exactly what resources that you need. And the only way to do that is by going through the script, making a list of all the cast you require, what kind of setups you require, locations, and that will help you figure out what equipment and who to hire and to be part of your crew.
When you break down your script, do you use a software or do you do it manually? And do you get other people involved at that stage, or are you pretty much a one person show?
I am mostly a one-person show. So, and in regards to software, there are a lot of different types of software that are out there, but I'm very much so old school. So, I use spreadsheets a lot, and I actually spend a lot of time building things in Google Docs and Google Sheets. So it's a lot easier for me to access everything on the fly and from wherever I am. And in regards to getting people involved, I always make sure I sit down with key members of my crew and find out exactly what it is that they require after I've proposed to them the things that I think that we need, just to make sure I get that extra input and we don't miss anything.
So, when it comes to budgeting,
Yeah,
do you also do that on your own or do you get help from other people?
I do that on my own as well.
How did you learn how to do all of
We're very lucky. We live in the age of the internet. So a lot of the stuff that I do know, I have self-taught. So there's a wealth of information of stuff online. There's so many websites that are offering templates and support for any indie filmmaker that's starting out. I have actually gone off and done some courses at NIDA and Metro Screen, and more recently Produce Perfect with ICE in Parramatta, and that's been amazing. And all these courses that you end up going off and doing, they keep providing you with more and more templates and support. And a lot of this stuff is also, like I said, available online for anyone to download. So there's budgeting spreadsheets that anyone can grab a hold of, and it helps guide you and consider the costs and everything if you're starting out for your first movie and you don't know where to begin.
So, with low budgets, what do you think are some things that you can compromise on and some things that you just can't?
So, I mean, when you're making a movie, you want the best of everything, the best actor, the best DOP, the best sound guy, composer, editor, all of that stuff. And it's just, you know, finding the best people you possibly can on your low budget. And I generally find, in regards to that, finding people that believe in your project and are passionate about it in order to get really high quality, but when you've got a very tight budget. In regards to compromise, I would probably say not to ever compromise on sound. We as audience members are often able to forgive, a visual error. So something's slightly out of focus or there's a bit of a shift in the camera or something like that. But we are a lot less likely to forgive a sound error because it's something that plays with our ears, and if something's slightly off or doesn't feel right, we're very much so likely to remember those things. So sound is definitely something to always invest in. And then when it comes to compromise, I think I would probably spend a little bit more time not being too pedantic about the types of locations I have access to. So if I needed a forest, for example, for a movie, I wouldn't be looking for one that's going to cost me $500 in permit hire fees, as opposed to one that's for free. So and obviously stuff like set design as well. You wouldn't be wanting to go out to Kmart and buy all the things that you need. You'd be scrounging around trying to find people that have the things that you want to make your set look authentic. So it's not necessarily that you're compromising on anything, it's just you're finding more savvier ways to make the movie that you want to make at the highest possible quality.
So with locations, do you take that into account when you're writing something?
Yes, absolutely. So as a as an indie filmmaker that is constantly investing her own money, it's all about being smart from the get-go. So what I like to do is I make a list of all the resources that I have available before I even write the script. I think about the locations, I think about the potential actors that I would want, I think about the certain props and things that I might need, and I make a list of all of that, and then I focus on writing something that includes those resources that I actually have, rather than sitting down and saying, oh, I'm going to write a film set on a plane that's flying from, California to, I don't know, Hawaii, and I'm going to need 1,000 extras, and it's about being realistic with what you have access to, because you can make an amazing film on almost $0, and it's just about being smart about using the things that you already have access to.
And how do you find your actors and get them interested if you, I'm assuming you can't pay them much, if anything. How do you go about casting?
So I always put a casting call out. I still treat it, like I would any other professional role. And I always have amazing actors approach me and apply and audition. And a lot of what I like to do is I like to get buy-in from the people that work for me. So I explain why I'm making the movie and the things that I want to do with it, because a lot of the movies I create are about inspiring change in the world. So my goal is to always have people on my set, both cast and crew, that believe in that message that I'm trying to deliver. And I always find that if the person believes in the message, they're more likely to give it everything that they've got, and together as a team we can actually create something that will just do exactly that, go out there, inspire change in the world, and actually make a difference.
How do you find good crew to work with, and do you tend to work with the same crew?
So in regards to crew, unlike actors, with actors, I mean, you obviously need someone new every time depending on the role. Not everyone suits the role, so you can't keep hiring your friends. But with crew, I definitely have, I guess, regular collaborators that I trust, and I've learned to, I guess, you work in sync with them. So it's a lot easier to work with sometimes the same people, because you get on set, you get your stuff done, you can look at someone from across the room, and just through your eyes, you've had a conversation. Like, I need you to move that light to the left. And all I have to do is just do that.
So you've got that now. How did you create that?
Oh, it's hard work. I really had to build a reputation. And I'm very lucky that I've had films that have had quite a bit of success. And I've had people come on board and want to work for me. And a lot of them have actually offered their services for free, which is fantastic. And a lot of that is because of the buy-in. They believe in the messages that I'm trying to get out there. So yeah, it's quite nice, and I treat everyone, with the utmost respect, and I hope, I can continue to work with them and help them grow and encourage them, to follow their dreams as well. And, together, as a community, I'm pretty sure we can all just rise.
Let's talk about contracts. Is this something that you get cast and crew to enter into, and how did you develop the contracts that you use? Have you approached a lawyer? Did you just figure it out yourself? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I always have release forms that I get everyone that works for me to sign, and basically it's just, whatever works you do for me. Jaded Belle Productions will own the copyright to that. They're pretty standard forms, and they're ones that float around for any kind of indie film production. They're very easy to find online, and Arts Law has an amazing collection of standard contract templates that anyone can access and download. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. So I really encourage anyone that's interested in, producing, to actually just jump online and have a look at some of these sites that have so much to offer.
Have you ever had to sacrifice something in your script that you really wanted that you couldn't get because of the budget?
Yes. I needed a trained dog.
Oh.
So for my film Curated Illusions, it's about a woman who's suffering from amnesia, and she uses a social media account to rediscover who she is. And as she comes home from the hospital, she very quickly discovers that her social media account doesn't match her reality. And part of that was that when she walked in the door and she sees the same dog in the house that she saw on her profile, or cuddling up to, the idea was that the dog would kind of run, see her, but not go near her. It would go to the husband instead. And she's very confused about why this dog wouldn't want to go near her when all the
that's
photos.
Fantastic.
But I just couldn't find anyone that had a dog that I could get to do that.
Yeah.
It was one of the longest shoot days as well, so we didn't have time to really kind of experiment. So I ended up writing the dog's concept is still in the film, but there's no actual dog. So yeah. But that's okay. It didn't make the film any it wasn't worse or anything. It was still just as good. The only difference is that I just told the same story a different way, and that's what indie filmmaking is all about. It's finding creative ways on a low budget to tell your story.
So do you have any examples of disasters that have happened on set that could have been prevented in the pre-production stage?
So in regards to pre-production, it's probably my little area of expertise. I'm super organized, so I'm all about scheduling and spreadsheets and checklists and making sure that everything is okay and running quite smoothly and well before we even end up on set. What I would say is that I've never really had a massive disaster, but I did come close to one. And an example of that was when we were filming 3 Feet Deep. I was scheduled to film in July, and we're 10 days out and we have a generator issue. So the idea is that 3 Feet Deep is mostly shot in a forest, in Carlingford, and well, there's no PowerPoints there, so how are you going to light it up, right? So we were talking about generators, trying to figure things out, and we got 10 days out from the shoot, and when we realized we just couldn't do it because we needed more generators, we needed more time, and it was something that we didn't have. So either I forked out money to make sure that we could hit that shoot date, but it would defeat the whole purpose of doing something on a low budget. So I made the decision to actually reschedule it, and it got rescheduled to September. So it was quite a big shift, and a lot of that was because of availability as well. So it wasn't that we weren't ready earlier, it was just availability. But I can tell you now, like, the shoot that we did in September was incredible. Everything ran so smoothly and we had no dramas, and anything that did kind of come up, we were able to just tackle head on, because we knew that there were things that we were equipped to handle, because we weren't worrying about the things that we should have been worrying about in pre-production. So.
You've mentioned spreadsheets a few times. Can you tell us what kind of spreadsheets you keep?
Yeah, so I have a master production list, and inside of that has multiple tabs. And in those tabs are very specific checklists that I always go through to make sure that I have everything I need. So, there'll be equipment section, there'll be Foley for sound, there'll be music score notes, there'll be editing notes, there'll be checklists for actors, there'll be anything and everything is in this spreadsheet. And the reason why I keep everything together and in one place is so, one, if I need to share it with anyone, my crew, they have easy access to it and they can go and find what they need down the bottom. But it's also just a really great way to be able to manage all your thoughts and get them out of your head and just put them in one place. Because, yeah, I mean, making a movie, it's project management, right? It's being able to get everything done and follow a process flow and get everything synced up and in place so that you end up with a product at the end of it. So I think just being organized is super important for anyone that wants to be in filmmaking because, yeah, I mean, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
How much of the post-production do you plan for in your pre-production?
A lot of it, really. So I have my shot list, which is obviously for production itself, but that shot list is then a guide for my editor as well. So in post, when he's putting everything together, or she or me, whoever ends up editing. And same thing for my Foley list. So everything that we need for production and every sound that we need to pick up and record, that list is also then there available for my sound designer. Same thing with music score. I'm picking up on notes, keys, samples that I want to actually hand over to my composer in post. So there's so many different elements that you're thinking about at any one time when you are actually making this movie, and you can't kind of walk into it just thinking about where you're at. You really need to know where you want to be, just so that you can actually add those things and plan those things as you go along and fit them all in, because you don't want to get to post and be thinking, oh, I didn't get that shot that I needed. That would look super awesome because I would have used a drone or something. So yeah, it really is all about planning at the end of the day. And that all comes with experience. No one's going to pick up a camera their first time around and make a James Cameron worthy film. You know, like, it's going to take time. And the more you do and the more you make it, the better you become. So it's being okay with making a movie that isn't so great, but it's growing from that and making your next one and making your next one, because before you know it, you're going to be out there entering festivals, winning awards and kicking ass. So got to start somewhere.
So you mentioned before that you want to inspire change with your films. What film do you think of yours gives that message the most?
That would be Curated Illusions. So that's a story I mentioned earlier about a woman suffering from amnesia, and she uses her social media account to rediscover who she is. The story is mostly based on her comparing her online self to the reality that she's met with when she comes home from the hospital. But the film actually ends with a really strong and powerful message that just comes out of nowhere. And it's a bit of a kick in the gut, but it is important. It's something that's definitely inspired change to date since it's been out. So I'm very proud of that it's actually made a difference in the world, not just in our community and not just with the people around me, but as an overall piece. And yeah, I highly encourage people to actually watch it because it's the type of film that I feel saves lives.
And what are you currently working on?
So I'm working on a film noir inspired thriller titled 3 Feet Deep. So it's about a gravedigger for hire who basically gets a text message with coordinates and measurements. So like 6'1", 5'9", and he goes off and he, you know, digs these holes and picks up some money and leaves, and he doesn't think twice about it. And then one day he gets a message with coordinates and measurements, and the measurements are for 3'1". So it's pretty dark, and it's got a very strong message about karma and responsibility. But yeah, it's definitely different from my other films. It's kind of starting me off on my next project, which is actually on child safety online. So I kind of want to touch on kids in this one. I know it's really dark, but the next one is actually about, it's called sharenting, parents who overshare information about their children on social media. It's an animation. So yeah, so I kind of thought I'll make this movie and then I'll move into that one, and then it's like a little packaged child story.
How do you come up with your ideas?
Uh, Life inspires me, I guess. So, Curated Illusions, for example, I came up with that when someone said, "Oh my God, Rachel, your life is so glamorous. You're always on the red carpet. You know, you're always at parties. How amazing!" And this person was judging me purely based on my social media account, which is a tenth of who I am and what I do. And it made me realize that, and I looked at my social media account and I went, oh my God, that's all I post. Because why would I post that I'm having a bad day? Why would I post that I'm sick? Why would I post that I'm, in my pajamas working 8 hours straight on editing a film? Like, why would I post any of that? So this person only sees the highlights of my life and thinks that I lead a glamorous life. And so I came up with the concept of Curated Illusions through that. So yeah, I just kind of, they hit me one day, First World Problems, my film before Curated Illusions, two guys sitting on a park bench bitching and whining about their first world problems. All the while there's a story about a homeless man playing out in the background. And it's a touching film. But the way I came up with that, it's Friday night, I'm sitting at a dinner party, surrounded by intelligent people, thinking I'm going to have an amazing night, lots of awesome conversation. Instead, I'm listening to two guys bitching and whining about whose butt looks better in a pair of jeans. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And then I came up with the idea of first world problems just from that. So, they hit you and you come up with these things that then develop into something that's so much more. But something like 3 Feet Deep, that was manufactured. That was me sitting down thinking, I need to actually showcase my cinematographer's skills. I need to showcase my dark thriller side in my writing. And I really, really, really want to shoot something in a forest. So I came up with the concept and then it grew from there. So there are some things that I do that are definitely, inspired by life. And then there are some things like this, which is quite fictional. That I don't think a lot of people would really be able to relate to because it's about a gravedigger for hire. That, end up still being amazing stories, but they just come from more of a, creative place in your mind.
Awesome. So if people want to find out more about you or follow you online, how can they do that?
So my website, www.jadedbelle.com, or on Facebook, so Jaded Belle Productions, or even on Instagram as Rachael Belle Myers.
Awesome. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.